"Do not take that pill, sir." I switched the bottle. The whisper came from the edge of the curtain, so small it almost disappeared beneath the low hum of the morning air conditioner. But Rocco Bellavita heard it before the white pill touched his tongue. His hand stopped 1 inch from his mouth. The gold signet ring on his finger tapped once against the crystal glass in his other hand. A tiny sound that crossed the master bedroom like a warning bell. Sunlight came through the tall windows of the Bellavita mansion in clean gold lines, falling over the dark wood floor, the silver breakfast tray, the folded newspaper, and the open medicine bottle beside the water. Nurse Clara Wynne stood near the dresser with her white gloves pulled smooth over both wrists. Dr. Elias Voss paused beside his medical bag. Vincent Moretti stood by the side table with a black leather folder under his elbow, his face arranged in the careful concern of family. No one moved. Then the curtain shifted again, and Sophia Carter stepped fully into the light. She was 5 years old, a little black girl with worn sneakers, a yellow hair tie, and both hands hidden behind her back. Her eyes were not on the expensive room, not on the nurse, not on the doctor, not even on the powerful man sitting at the edge of the bed in a black silk robe. Her eyes stayed locked on the pill in Rocco's fingers. Rocco did not lower it yet. He looked at her the way he looked at men twice her size when they brought him bad news. "What did you say?" Sophia swallowed. Her shoulders were tight enough to make her sweater wrinkle at the neck, but she did not run. "I switched it," she said. "But I did not steal it. I hid the one that smelled right." The words made the room colder because they sounded like two things at once. A confession and a warning. Rocco finally looked at the bottle on the tray. The cap was off. The seal was torn neatly along the lower edge, not across the front where a normal opening would show. The label faced the wall instead of the window. It was the kind of detail adults missed because adults believed important things always announced themselves loudly. Sophia had not missed it. Slowly she brought her hands forward. A second medicine bottle rested against her chest, gripped so tightly that her small knuckles looked pale. The label on that bottle faced outward, straight and clean, the way her mother always turned it after wiping the table before dawn. Clara gave a soft, careful laugh that ended too quickly. "Mr. Bellavita, she is a child. Children get frightened by things they do not understand." Dr. Voss nodded with polished calm. "The morning dose should not be delayed. With your condition, consistency matters." Vincent stepped closer, warm voice, gentle eyes, one hand still near the black folder. "Rocco, let me handle this. She is the maid's little girl." She probably thought she was helping. Sophia flinched at the word maid, but she did not let go of the bottle. Behind her, the bedroom door opened wider, and Mariah Carter appeared with fresh towels stacked in her arms. She saw her daughter beside the bed, saw the open medicine, saw the pill in Rocco's hand, and the towels slipped onto the floor in a soft white heap. "Sophia," Mariah breathed. "What did you do?" Sophia turned toward her mother, and the fear in her face cracked for the first time. "Mama, it was wrong. It was looking at the wall." Vincent exhaled as if the matter had solved itself. "She admits she touched the medication." Rocco heard him, but his attention had moved to smaller things. The torn seal, the direction of the labels, Clara's fingers curling inside her gloves, Vincent's elbow shifting over the folder the moment Rocco looked at it. Slowly, Rocco lowered the pill onto the small silver dish beside the glass. The sound was almost nothing, but every adult in the room heard it. He set the water down next. He did not thank Sophia. He did not accuse her. He gave her no mercy and no trust, only attention. The guard outside leaned into the doorway, waiting for an order. Rocco looked once at the bottle on the tray, once at the bottle in Sophia's hands, and then at Vincent's covered folder. "Close the door," he said. The guard obeyed, and the room sealed itself into silence. Mariah reached for Sophia with trembling hands, but Sophia held the second bottle tight against her chest like a secret too heavy for her age. Rocco's voice dropped low enough to make even Dr. Voss stop breathing for a moment. "No one leaves this room until I know which bottle wanted me quiet." The closed door changed the shape of the room. Before, it had been a bedroom with polished furniture, soft morning light, and a silver tray arranged beside a powerful man's bed. Now it felt like a room holding its breath around one white pill, 2 medicine bottles, and a child who was too small to understand how expensive silence could be. Mariah Carter moved first. She crossed the rug quickly and dropped to one knee in front of Sophia, her hands hovering near the bottle but not touching it. "Baby, tell me you did not open anything," she whispered. Sophia shook her head hard, the yellow hair tie trembling with the movement. "I only moved it. I did not open the cap." Vincent Moretti stepped into that answer like he had been waiting for it. "She moved controlled medication from your bedside, Rocco. That alone is enough." His voice was calm, almost gentle, but every word placed Sophia lower in the room. Not a witness, not a child with a warning. Problem. Dr. Elias Voss closed his medical bag with quiet authority. "Mr. Bellavita, delaying your morning dose can create unnecessary risk. Your blood pressure has been unstable. A child's fear should not interrupt a prescribed routine." Nurse Clara Wynne gave a small nod from near the dresser. Her white gloves were spotless. Too spotless, Rocco thought, for someone who had supposedly been preparing medicine 10 minutes earlier. Mariah looked up, her face tight with panic. "Sir, I am sorry. Sophia knows not to touch your things. I teach her that every day. She sits in the hallway when I clean because I do not have anywhere else to put her before the staff bus comes." The words fell out fast, each one trying to build a fence around her daughter before the adults could step closer. Vincent softened his face for Mariah, and that softness made Rocco's eyes narrow. "No one is accusing anyone yet," Vincent said. Then he turned toward Rocco. "But the responsible thing is to remove them from the room and let the doctor handle this privately." Sophia's fingers tightened around the bottle against her chest. "No," she whispered. It was not loud enough to challenge anyone, but it was loud enough to make Rocco look at her again. Vincent heard it too and lowered himself halfway, smiling with the careful pity adults use when they want a child to stop being inconvenient. "Sweetheart, you are scared. That does not make you bad. But you touched medicine that belongs to a sick man." Sophia looked at the pill on the silver dish. "That one is not his." Clara's smile returned, thin as thread. "You cannot know that." "It was looking wrong," Sophia said. "And it smelled wrong." Dr. Voss sighed, just enough for everyone to hear. Children attach stories to smells all the time. Rocco leaned back slightly, but he did not reach for the pill. That small refusal disturbed Vincent more than any accusation would have. Vincent's elbow shifted over the black leather folder on the side table, covering the exposed corner of the top page. The movement was quick, almost natural. Almost. Rocco had spent a lifetime watching men hide weapons, debts, and fear behind smaller gestures than that. He looked at the folder. Vincent noticed and smiled. "Medical paperwork," he said before anyone asked. "Precautionary forms, nothing more." Rocco's gaze stayed on him. "I did not ask." For the first time, Vincent answered a little too fast. "I know. I only wanted to reassure you." A strip of black lettering showed beneath his sleeve for 1 second before he covered it again. Temporary medical authority. The phrase did not belong beside breakfast medicine unless someone expected the morning to become official. Mariah did not see it. She was still watching Sophia, terrified that one wrong sentence from her daughter could erase their room in the staff quarters. Their meals, her references, the fragile little life she had built one careful hour at a time. "Please, Sophia," Mariah said softly. "Tell the truth exactly." Sophia looked at Rocco, then at her mother, then at the bottle on the tray. "Mama turns the bottle to the window," she said, "so the letters can see the light." Vincent gave a quiet laugh. "Rocco, listen to what she is saying. Letters. Seeing light. This is not evidence." But Rocco did not laugh. He looked at the medicine bottle on the tray. The label faced the wall. He looked at the bottle in Sophia's hands. Its label faced outward, straight and neat. He looked at Clara's gloves. He looked at Dr. Voss, who had still not touched the pill himself. Then he looked back at Vincent's covered folder. "Samuel Price," Rocco said to the guard at the door. Get him here from the estate office. Now. Vincent's expression tightened by less than a second. Your attorney? For a child's mistake. Rocco picked up his silver watch from the bedside table and fastened it slowly around his wrist. For a room full of adults trying to decide the child is the only problem. The guard left. No one else moved. Sophia stood very still beside her mother, holding the hidden bottle as if letting go would make the truth fall apart. Vincent kept his hand on the black folder, as if the paper beneath it might start speaking before the lawyer arrived. Samuel Price arrived from the estate office with his tie still loose and his reading glasses in one hand, but he stopped at the bedroom doorway before stepping inside. He saw Rocco Bellavita seated on the edge of the bed in the black silk robe, the white pill resting on the silver dish, Vincent Moretti beside the covered folder, Dr. Elias Voss standing too calmly near the medical bag, Nurse Clara Wynne by the dresser, and Mariah Carter holding her daughter by the shoulders as if she could keep the whole room from swallowing her. Samuel did not ask who was guilty. He took out his phone, turned on the time-stamped camera, and said, "Nobody moves anything until I document what is already here." Vincent smiled like a man tolerating an unnecessary delay. Samuel, this is turning a child's mistake into a courtroom. Rocco did not look away from the tray. Then let the room behave like it has nothing to hide. Samuel photographed the tray first. The crystal glass, the white pill, the open bottle, the torn seal along the bottom edge, the cap lying upside down. Then he turned to Sophia. Tell me only what you saw, not what you think it means. Sophia held the second bottle tighter, against her sweater. That one smelled like wet pennies, she said, pointing at the tray without touching it. Clara's chin lifted. Medication can have a scent. Sophia shook her head. Not like that. Mama's shelf smells clean. Like soap and the little brown cabinet. Mariah closed her eyes for 1 second. It was true. Every morning before sunrise, she wiped the walnut table, checked the water glass, placed the approved bottle beside it, and turned the label toward the window because Rocco hated reaching for his reading glasses before coffee. Sophia had watched that routine from the hallway so many times that she knew it the way other children knew cartoons. Samuel leaned closer to the tray. What else? Sophia swallowed, then raised one finger. Mama turns the letters to the light. That bottle was looking at the wall. No one spoke. The label on the tray bottle faced inward, toward the shadowed side of the room. The bottle in Sophia's arms faced outward, straight and bright under the window. Vincent gave a quiet breath that sounded almost like patience. Rocco, a label direction is not evidence. Rocco's eyes moved to him. Nobody said it was enough. That was worse than anger. It meant he was counting. Sophia pointed again, this time at the cap. And the top has a shiny line. Samuel crouched beside the tray and angled his phone. A thin scratch ran across the cap rim, small enough to disappear unless the light caught it. Clara folded her hands. Caps get scratched in shipment. Sophia looked at Clara's gloves. Your glove was loose. Clara blinked. What? In the hall, Sophia said. One glove was down. I saw your silver nail. Mariah's grip tightened around Sophia's shoulder, not to silence her, but because the room had shifted toward something bigger than a child touching a bottle. Clara looked offended in a careful way. I was not preparing his medicine in the hall. Sophia's voice became smaller. You were by the blue-striped cart. Dr. Voss stepped forward before Samuel could ask another question. This is exactly why we should stop. She is connecting ordinary things because she is frightened. A smell, a label, a glove, a cart. That is not medicine. That is imagination. Rocco finally stood. He did it slowly, with the control of a man who knew every person in the room was measuring how weak he seemed. The pill stayed on the silver dish. The water stayed untouched. He walked to the tray and looked down at the bottle without picking it up. Clara, he said. Who opened this before I did? Clara's mouth parted. Dr. Voss answered first. Nurse Wynne follows my protocol. Rocco turned his head. I asked Clara. A thin silence stretched across the room. Vincent's hand settled back on the black folder, covering the same corner as before. Temporary medical authority vanished under his sleeve. Sophia saw the movement and tucked her stuffed rabbit tighter under her arm. She did not know what the papers meant, but she knew hiding. Children who lived in staff quarters learned what hiding looked like before they learned why powerful people did it. Clara finally said, "I checked the tray for the morning dose. That is all." Samuel wrote the sentence down. Rocco looked at Sophia. "Did you open the bottle you were holding?" Sophia shook her head. "No, sir. I took it because it smelled like Mama's shelf. I put it behind the curtain so you would not take the wrong one." Vincent gave a small, disappointed smile. "So she admits she removed medication from the tray." Rocco looked at him with eyes that had gone flat and cold. "And you keep admitting you want that to matter more than why?" Vincent's smile held, but not easily. Rocco pointed toward the service alcove outside the bedroom. "Bring the paper medication ledger from the medical wall safe. Not the tablet. The paper ledger." Clara's shoulders tightened before she could stop them. It lasted less than a second, but Rocco saw it. Samuel saw it. Sophia saw it too, and her little voice followed the silence like a match dropped into a dark room. "Mama signed the paper before the bad smell came. The silver dish, the pill, the 2 bottles, and the torn seal waited in the sunlight, and for the first time, the adults had to face a question no one could laugh away. If Sophia's memory was wrong, why was everyone afraid of the ledger? The guard returned with the paper medication ledger held flat in both hands, as if the old blue binder had suddenly become more dangerous than any weapon in the mansion. Samuel Price cleared a space on the walnut desk and opened it under the window light. The pages smelled faintly of ink, dust, and the lemon polish Mariah used every morning. Rocco remained standing beside the bed, the pill still untouched on the silver dish, while Sophia watched from beside her mother's skirt with the Real bottle hugged against her chest. Samuel ran his finger down the page for that morning. 6:08 a.m., he read. "Morning tray prepared. Water refreshed. Approved bottle placed. Batch number ending in 74B. Signed by Mariah Carter." Mariah's breath caught, because her name sounded different when an attorney read it aloud in a room full of powerful people. Not like a worker's name, like evidence. Samuel turned the bottle in Sophia's hands without taking it from her, photographing the label first. "Batch ending in 74B, he said. Then he stepped to the silver tray, angled his phone, and photographed the bottle lying open beside the glass. He did not touch it until he had the image. Batch ending in 74D. The room did not explode. That made the silence worse. Vincent Moretti looked from one bottle to the other, then gave a measured shrug. "Different batch numbers happen. Pharmacies rotate stock." Dr. Voss nodded at once. "Correct. This proves nothing except that the child found another bottle somewhere." Sophia shook her head. "No. It was on the table before." Clara's eyes moved to her too quickly. "You said you moved it." "I moved the one that smelled right," Sophia said. "The other one was there after Miss Clara came by the cart." Mariah whispered her daughter's name, not as a warning, but as a prayer for the truth to land safely. Rocco looked toward the service alcove. "The tablet." Clara's posture stiffened. "Mr. Bellavita, the digital record updates automatically through my station. There may be routine adjustments." "Bring it," Rocco said. Samuel's assistant, called up from the estate office, placed the medical tablet on the desk. Samuel did not let Clara unlock it with her own hands. He asked for the administrative access code from. Rocco entered it in front of everyone and opened the medication log. The approved entry showed Mariah's paper signature at 6:08. Below it, a digital update appeared at 6:17. No note, no initials, just a clean replacement entry tied to the bottle ending in 74D. Rocco's face did not change, but his hand closed around the old silver watch on his wrist. "Who updated it?" Samuel asked. Clara answered before the tablet finished loading the user field. "Sometimes the system syncs when the camera signal drops. It is a common interruption on this floor." The words landed wrong. Even Vincent's eyes shifted toward her. Samuel slowly looked up. "Nobody asked about the camera." Clara went still. The little mistake was not a confession. It was smaller than that. Smaller things were harder to explain away. Rocco turned to Sophia. "Where were you when you saw Clara?" Sophia pointed toward the doorway. "By the blue-striped towel cart. I spilled milk on one towel. Mama told me not to cry because it was just a corner." Mariah nodded, stunned that such a tiny mistake had survived inside her child's memory like a lantern. "She did spill it," Mariah said. "I was going to take that towel down with the laundry." Vincent stepped in gently. "Rocco, this is becoming a chain of accidents. A child touched one bottle. A maid signed one page. A nurse updated one tablet. None of that proves danger." Rocco looked at him. "Then you will not mind if none of it leaves the room." He pointed to the tray. "Seal the pill separately. Seal both bottles. Photograph the torn seal. Copy the tablet. Pull the hallway camera file. And bring me Clara's towel cart before it goes downstairs." Dr. Voss's mouth tightened. "This is excessive." Rocco finally turned his full attention on him. "So was asking me to swallow first and verify later." Samuel placed the pill into a small evidence sleeve. The bottle from the tray went into another. Sophia hesitated when Samuel held out a third sleeve for the bottle in her arms. For a moment, she looked 5 again. Not brave, not special, only afraid that giving it up would make everyone stop listening. Rocco saw it and lowered his voice. "You are not losing the truth, Sophia. We are putting a label on it." She released the bottle slowly. Samuel sealed it, wrote the time, and placed it beside the others. On the desk, the 2 batch numbers sat under the sunlight like 2 doors leading to different versions of the morning. Clara's face went pale. Not enough for guilt. Enough for Rocco to know the next door had to be opened. The blue-striped towel cart arrived with one squeaking wheel and a smell of clean cotton that did not belong in a room where everyone was staring at medicine. The guard pushed it just inside the door and stopped when Samuel Price lifted one hand. "Do not move it any farther," Samuel said. He photographed the cart from the front, the side, the handle, the wheels, and the folded towels stacked in 3 neat layers. Clara Wynne looked at the cart as if she had never seen it before, though Sophia remembered the exact way Clara had stood beside it in the hall, one glove loose, one hand tucked beneath a towel. Vincent Moretti gave a quiet sigh. "Are we really searching laundry now?" Rocco Bellavita did not answer him. He was watching Clara. Clara's face stayed calm, but her fingers rubbed the seam of her right glove. Samuel pointed to the top shelf. "Sophia, without touching anything, can you show me which towel had the milk?" Sophia stepped half a step forward, then stopped and looked back at Mariah for permission. Mariah nodded once, though her own face had gone tight with fear. Sophia lifted one small finger and pointed to the 3rd towel from the left. "That one. I spilled it on the corner." Clara said, "Many towels look alike." Sophia shook her head. "The stripe is crooked there." Samuel leaned close, used a clean evidence tong from his bag, and lifted the corner. A faint pale stain marked the white cotton near the blue stripe. It was small, almost childish in how unimportant it looked. But Rocco saw Mariah cover her mouth with one hand, because she remembered telling Sophia not to cry about that exact stain. Samuel turned the fold gently. Something thin and clear clung to the fabric. A torn strip of plastic seal, the same width as the broken edge on the tray bottle. The room fell into a silence that no one could polish. Clara spoke first. "That could have come from any supply bottle." "Then it will not mind being tested," Samuel said. He placed it in a sleeve and labeled it. Rocco's eyes moved to Sophia. She did not smile. Children smiled when they won games. This did not feel like winning. It felt like the floor under her mother had started to crack. Samuel checked the lower shelf next. Under a folded stack of clean towels, half hidden near the metal rail, he found a plastic badge with a blue clip. Mariah's employee photo stared up from it. Her name was printed in black letters beneath the image. Mariah went still. "That is mine," she whispered. "It was on my left pocket this morning." Sophia turned quickly. "Mama never puts it there. She clips it here." She tapped the left side of her own sweater with 2 fingers. Dr. Voss stepped into the opening with a calm that felt rehearsed. Mr. Bellavita, this is now a serious access issue. Miss Carter's badge is inside the nurse's cart. Her signature is in the paper ledger, and her child removed medication from your tray. We cannot ignore the most direct explanation. Mariah looked as if the words had reached her before she could defend herself. I did not go into the medical cabinet, she said. I signed the ledger after I cleaned the table. That is all. Vincent lowered his voice, making it sound like kindness. Mariah, no one wants to ruin your life, but for Rocco's safety, we may need to suspend you until this is reviewed. The word suspend landed harder than an accusation. It carried her paycheck, her room in the staff quarters, Sophia's breakfast, every reference she would ever need. Sophia grabbed her mother's apron. She did not do it. Vincent looked down at her gently. Sweetheart, you are trying to protect your mother. Sophia's eyes filled, but her voice stayed clear.
No.
Miss Clara had the cart. Mama was inside with towels. Samuel's assistant returned with the hallway camera file loaded on a secure tablet. The first images showed Mariah signing the paper ledger at 6:08, then leaving the medicine area. At 6:11, Sophia spilled milk near the cart. At 6:13, Clara appeared by the service. Alcove, one glove loose at the wrist. Then the picture cut to black. No signal. For minutes missing. When the image returned, the cart had moved closer to the bedroom. Clara's gloves were both tight, and Vincent stood near the laundry hall with his phone in one hand and the black folder tucked under the other arm. Clara said, "System interruption," before Samuel asked a single question. Rocco looked at her. You know a great deal before anyone asks you. Dr. Voss tried to redirect. A missing camera feed does not prove tampering. Rocco glanced at Mariah's badge sealed beside the torn strip, then at the towel with Sophia's milk stain, then at the 2 bottles on the desk. The first proof had arrived, but it had not freed Mariah. It had wrapped itself around her name exactly the way someone wanted. And as Vincent reached again for the black folder, Sophia whispered the question that made even Samuel stop writing. Why was Mama's badge hiding where the bad bottle was? Sophia's question stayed in the room longer than anyone wanted it to. Why was Mariah's badge hiding where the bad bottle was? No adult answered fast enough, and that delay did more damage than any accusation. Vincent Moretti looked at the badge sealed in its clear sleeve, then at the torn strip, then at Mariah with the same sad face he used at funerals and board meetings. This is exactly why we need a formal review, he said. No one should be judged by panic. We follow the process. The word process made Mariah's face go empty, because people like her knew how easily process could become a door closing from the other side. Rocco Bellavita did not look at Vincent. He looked at the black leather folder under Vincent's arm. Then let us follow all of it, Rocco said. Open the folder. Vincent's hand tightened. Not enough for most people to notice. Enough for Rocco. Rocco, this contains private family material, not household matters. Samuel Price stepped forward. Medication tampering inside the principal bedroom is now a legal matter. If that folder contains documents connected to Mr. Bellavita's medical authority, I need to see them. Dr. Voss spoke smoothly. This is unnecessary. Escalation. Rocco turned his head. You were very comfortable escalating when the maid's badge appeared. Vincent held the folder for one more second, then set it on the walnut desk with care. Samuel opened it. The first page was printed on heavy paper with Rocco's full legal name across the top. Temporary Medical Authority. Underneath, Vincent Moretti was listed as acting authority for medical decisions and operational continuity. The signature line at the bottom was blank. Waiting. The time printed in the corner was 8:15 that morning. Rocco looked toward the mantel clock. It was not yet 7:30. Samuel turned the next page. Medical Capacity Evaluation, he said. Prepared by Dr. Elias Voss. The report used cold words that made a living man sound like a problem. Disorientation, impaired judgment, refusal of prescribed treatment, emotional instability. Sophia did not understand all of it, but she heard the tone and moved closer to Mariah. Vincent gave a gentle sigh. This was a precaution. A family like ours cannot wait until a crisis becomes public. Rocco's eyes stayed on the page. You wrote my confusion before I refused the pill. Vincent did not blink. You are refusing it now because a child frightened you. Samuel turned another page. This one was not about Rocco. It was a printed suspension notice for Mariah Carter. The reason listed was medication tampering. Her employee identification number appeared beneath her name. The badge found in Clara's cart matched the number on the page. Mariah put one hand over her mouth. Sophia looked from the paper to her mother. That is Mama, she whispered. Why is Mama already on the paper? Samuel turned the next page and found an access report showing Mariah's badge used near the medical service alcove after 6:10. Mariah shook her head before anyone accused her. I never went back there. I was inside the bedroom folding towels. Sophia tugged at her mother's apron. Mama was with the towels. I saw Miss Clara by the cart. Clara looked at Dr. Voss, then looked away. Samuel kept reading. Behind the access report was a breakfast timeline. 7:30, family meal. 7:45, medical. Concern documented. 8:15, authority signature. Staff suspension if necessary. Outside announcement pending. Rocco's face went pale, but not with fear. It was the color of a man who had finally seen the whole machine. The pill was not the ending. The pill was the beginning of a performance. Vincent needed Rocco uncertain, the doctor needed him medically questionable, Clara needed the bottle changed, and Mariah's badge needed to point away from everyone with power. Samuel reached the final page and stopped. A purchase receipt from a private medical supplier showed a coded pharmaceutical order, batch ending in 74D, billed through a consulting company with a forwarding address tied to Moretti Holdings. Vincent smiled faintly. I do not manage every vendor name attached to family assets. Rocco closed the folder with one hand. The sound was soft, but every person in the bedroom felt it. He looked at the two sealed bottles, the torn seal, the milk-stained towel, Mariah's badge, the altered tablet log, the camera gap, the suspension notice, the authority form, and the receipt that gave the wrong bottle a road into his home. Then he looked at Sophia, who stood small and frightened beside her mother, still waiting for an adult to answer the one question no one could polish. Rocco finally spoke. You did not need me dead, he said to Vincent. You needed me doubted. Vincent's mask stayed smooth. You are tired, Rocco. Rocco let his shoulders lower, just enough for Vincent to believe the sentence had landed. Then let them see how tired I am, he said. Breakfast is still at 7:30. Mariah stared at him. Samuel understood first and quietly gathered the folder. Rocco reached for his silver watch, fastened it, and looked toward the hallway where the family dining room waited with coffee, witnesses, and a pen Vincent still believed would make him king. Rocco Bellavita stepped into the hallway as if the weight of the morning had finally reached his bones. He let his hand touch the wall for half a second, long enough for Vincent Moretti to see it, long enough for Dr. Elias Voss to believe his own report was beginning to write itself in the air. Vincent moved beside him with a face full of careful concern. Easy, Rocco, he said. No one expects you to handle this alone. Rocco allowed his shoulders to sink. Then help me downstairs when it is time, he said, and the small satisfaction in Vincent's eyes told him the lie had worked. But as Rocco adjusted the old silver watch on his wrist, his thumb brushed the gold signet ring twice, then once more. The guard at the end of the hall saw it and walked away without a word. Within minutes, the estate began to tighten quietly. The front gates were locked under the excuse of a scheduled security test. The camera backups were copied to an offline drive. The elevator logs, hallway door logs, medical alcove access reports, and tablet activity records were pulled before anyone could change them. Samuel Price moved through it all with calm precision, labeling each evidence sleeve. 2 medicine bottles, 1 white pill, 1 torn seal strip, 1 milk-stained towel, 1 employee badge, 1 paper ledger, 1 black folder. No shortcuts, Rocco said from the doorway, his voice low enough that only Samuel heard it. No family favors. No missing paper. Samuel nodded. Clean chain of custody. Rocco looked back at Vincent, who was speaking softly to Dr. Voss near the staircase. Good. Rocco said. They built this out of paperwork. We bury it in paperwork. Mariah and Sophia were taken to the East sitting room, not as suspects, but under protection. Still, Mariah did not sit until Samuel told her she could. The room was bright, with cream curtains and a blue sofa no one in staff quarters would have dared touch without permission. Sophia sat on the very edge, her sneakers swinging above the rug, her stuffed rabbit pressed against her stomach. Samuel placed a blank sheet of paper on the coffee table and found a cup of crayons from a drawer used by visiting grandchildren. "Sophia," he said gently, "can you draw where everyone was when you saw the cart?" Sophia looked at Mariah first. Mariah nodded, her eyes wet but steady. Sophia picked blue for the hallway, yellow for the stripe on the towel cart, black for Vincent's folder, and red for the little pocket where her mother's badge was supposed to be clipped. Her drawing was crooked and childish. The doors were too big. The cart looked like a box with circles. Clara had large white hands. Vincent stood near the laundry hall with a black square under one arm. "He was there," Sophia said, "and Mama's card was gone after Miss Clara passed." Samuel did not praise her like she had performed a trick. He dated the drawing, photographed it beside her hands, and placed it in a clear sleeve. Upstairs, the restored camera frames began to come in piece by piece. Mariah at 6:08, signing the ledger. Sophia spilling milk near the towel cart. Clara at 6:13 with one glove loose. The black gap. Then the return of the picture. The cart moved, Clara's gloves tight, Vincent near the laundry hall with his phone and the folder. Samuel set Sophia's drawing beside the still image. The positions matched closely enough that the room no longer needed Sophia to sound older than 5. Her memory had done what it could. The evidence had to do the rest. In the downstairs office, an independent physician arrived through the service entrance and examined a sealed sample from the tray bottle under Samuel's camera. He would not claim a final lab result, but the rapid preliminary screen was enough to say the bottle on the tray did not match the approved medication profile. At the same time, a security technician recovered a short call from the hallway phone system, clipped and almost deleted, but still clear enough to hear Vincent's voice say, "Before noon. If there is trouble, the maid and the child are the explanation." Rocco listened once. He did not replay it. He did not smile. He only asked Samuel, "Is it admissible enough to scare the truth out of the room?" Samuel answered, "It is enough to make them stop pretending." At 7:29, Vincent appeared at the top of the stairs, smooth again, almost tender. "The family is waiting," he said. "Once you sign, you can rest. I will carry the burden for a while." Rocco let Vincent take his arm. To anyone watching, the Mafia boss looked tired, cornered, maybe even ready to surrender. Behind them, Samuel carried the black folder and the sealed evidence. In the East sitting room, Sophia held her mother's hand and whispered, "Did I draw it right?" Mariah kissed the top of her head. "You told the truth right." Downstairs, coffee steamed in the Bellavita family dining room. The pen waited beside Rocco's plate, and Vincent walked in smiling like a man who did not know the trap had already changed owners. The Bellavita family dining room had been set for breakfast with the confidence of people who believed power would arrive on schedule. Coffee steamed from white porcelain cups. Silverware rested in perfect lines along the long walnut table. Sunlight spilled across the polished floor, touching the black leather folder beside Rocco Bellavita's plate as if it were only another harmless morning object. Vincent Moretti guided Rocco to the head chair with one hand near his elbow, careful not to look too eager in front of the family members already seated around the table. Dr. Elias Voss took his place nearby, his face smooth, his medical bag at his feet. Nurse Clara Wynne stood near the sideboard, hands folded in white gloves that no longer looked clean to anyone who had been upstairs. Samuel Price entered last with sealed evidence sleeves stacked inside a hard case, and behind him came Mariah Carter and Sophia, escorted not like suspects, but like people the room now had to acknowledge. Mariah stopped near the wall by habit. Sophia held her stuffed rabbit against her chest and looked at the pen beside Rocco's plate. Vincent opened the folder with gentle seriousness. "Rocco, no one here wants to embarrass you," he said. "This is about continuity." This is about keeping the family stable while you recover. Rocco lowered himself into the chair slowly, letting the silence mistake his control for exhaustion. Vincent removed the first document. For the record, Dr. Voss has observed confusion, refusal of prescribed treatment, emotional instability, and impaired judgment under stress. Sophia's eyes moved to the silver case in Samuel's hand. She knew the big words were being used to make the morning sound like Rocco's fault. Vincent slid the page closer. You only need to sign here. Temporary authority will allow me to carry the burden until you are rested. Rocco picked up the pen. Mariah's hand closed around Sophia's shoulder. Clara's gaze dropped to the table. Vincent held his breath for half a second. Rocco signed. Vincent reached for the paper, but Samuel lifted it first. For the record, Samuel said, Mr. Bellavita has signed an emergency suspension of Vincent Moretti's access to Bellavita financial accounts, medical records, security permissions, operating approvals, and internal family files pending outside review. The room went so quiet that the soft click of the pen cap sounded loud. Vincent stared at the page. That is not what I placed in front of him. Rocco sat straighter. The weakness left his body without drama. No, he said. It is what I chose. Samuel opened the hard case and placed the evidence on the table one piece at a time. The sealed bottle Sophia had protected, batch ending in 74B. The sealed tray bottle, batch ending in 74D. The white pill. The torn strip of plastic seal. The towel with Sophia's milk stain. Mariah's employee badge. The paper medication ledger signed at 608. The tablet log updated at 617. The restored camera stills. Sophia's crayon drawing. The access report. The purchase receipt tied to a company forwarding to Moretti Holdings. And the preliminary independent screen stating that the tray bottle did not match Rocco's approved medication profile. Vincent looked at the evidence with the calm of a man searching for one loose thread. You are turning household confusion into a public accusation. Rocco touched the two bottles with one finger, not moving them, only marking the distance between truth and performance. Household confusion did not print Mariah Carter's suspension notice before anyone accused her. Samuel placed that paper beside the badge. Mariah saw her name on it and straightened for the first time since the morning began. Vincent turned toward the family. This is exactly why I wanted a formal process. A staff member's badge was found near the compromised items. The child had the bottle. Rocco is too emotional to see the obvious. Rocco looked at Sophia. Was the cart in this position? When the camera returned, Samuel held up the crayon drawing beside the restored still. Sophia did not stand or perform. She only nodded once, her cheek pressed near her rabbit's worn ear. Yes, sir. Miss Clara was by the cart, and Mr. Vincent had the black folder. Clara made a small sound near the sideboard. Dr. Voss said, a child's drawing cannot establish medical truth. Samuel pressed play on the recovered call. Vincent's voice filled the dining room, low and clear. Before noon. If there is trouble, the maid and the child are the explanation. No one moved. The words did not shout. They did not need to. They walked across the table and sat beside every piece of evidence Vincent had hoped would point at Mariah. Clara's eyes filled with panic. Dr. Voss looked away. Vincent finally lost the gentle sadness in his face. Everything I did was to protect this family. Rocco turned the signed suspension order toward him. You protected yourself with a child's fear and a mother's job. Vincent's mouth opened, but no clean sentence came out. Rocco placed Sophia's crayon drawing on top of the black folder. You planned for my weakness, he said. You did not plan for her memory. At the far wall, Mariah pulled Sophia close, and the room that had been prepared for Vincent's victory became the room where his story stopped belonging to him. Vincent Moretti did not collapse when his story stopped belonging to him. Men like Vincent rarely did. He straightened his cuffs, looked at the crayon drawing on top of the black folder, and tried to rebuild his mask in front of the family dining table. Rocco, you are making this ugly, he said. We can still handle it privately. Rocco Bellavita looked at the sealed bottles, the torn strip, the milk-stained towel, Mariah's badge, the paper ledger, the tablet log, the access report, the receipt. and the recording transcript Samuel Price had placed beside the coffee cups. "Private is how you planned it," he said. "Clean is how it ends." Samuel closed the evidence case and began reading the chain of custody aloud, item by item, time by time, name by name. No one interrupted him. The family members who had arrived expecting breakfast now sat like witnesses. Dr. Elias Voss reached for his medical bag, but Rocco's voice stopped him before his hand touched the handle. "Your counsel can request it later. Nothing connected to my care leaves this room without documentation." Nurse Clara Wynne stared at the floor until Samuel asked her one question in a calm voice. "Were you instructed to replace the bottle and leave evidence pointing toward Mariah Carter?" Clara's white gloves trembled. "I was told it would not hurt him," she said. "I was told it would only make him seem confused." Dr. Voss gave the medical instructions. Mr. Moretti said the signing had to happen before noon. If there was trouble, we were supposed to say the maid and the child had access. Mariah closed her eyes, and for a moment she looked less relieved than wounded. The truth had cleared her, but it had also shown how little her name had meant to the people willing to use it. Rocco saw that. He turned to Samuel. "Record her statement properly. Notify outside counsel, the medical board, and local authorities. Freeze Vincent's access now. Financial, medical, security, internal approvals, all of it." Vincent's face hardened. "You would invite outsiders into family business?" Rocco stood. "You put poison into trust and called it family." The room stayed silent as Samuel's assistant confirmed the first access freeze over the phone. Vincent's accounts tied to Bellavita operations were locked pending review. Dr. Voss's medical authority was suspended from the estate pending formal investigation. Clara's statement was taken with witnesses present. The preliminary screen was sealed with the bottles, not treated as the final word, but strong enough to justify a full laboratory report. Every paper Vincent had prepared to make Rocco look unstable became evidence that Vincent had planned the crisis before Sophia ever spoke. Only after the system was moving did Rocco ask the household staff to gather in the front hall. Mariah stood near the back by habit, with Sophia pressed against her side and the old stuffed rabbit tucked under one arm. Rocco stepped down from the first stair, still in his black silk robe, the gold signet ring heavy on his hand. "Mariah Carter," he said. Her name carried across the hall, and she stiffened as if names only traveled that far when something was being taken away. "This morning, people with titles, money, and access tried to use your work, your fear, your badge, and your child against you. They printed your guilt before anyone proved a thing. That ends here." Mariah lifted her face. The staff did too. "Your record is cleared in writing. Your pay continues through the investigation. Your housing is protected. No one in this house can remove, suspend, or accuse a staff member without documented review by legal counsel. Safety reports go directly to Samuel Price, not through family politics." His eyes moved to Sophia. "And no one will use this child for publicity." Sophia did not understand publicity, but she understood her mother's fingers shaking in hers. Rocco continued, "Her education fund will be private and controlled by her mother. No cameras. No speeches. No favors that turn into chains." Mariah covered her mouth with one hand, not to hide shame, but because her dignity had come back so publicly that she did not know where to put the first breath. Sophia looked up at Rocco. "Is Mama still in trouble?" The question was small enough to make the hall feel too large. Rocco lowered himself until his eyes were level with hers. "No," he said. "The people who tried to make her small are." Later, when the staff had gone quiet and the dining room had been cleared of coffee cups and lies, Rocco returned alone. The evidence was gone into proper hands. Only one signed paper remained on the table: Mariah Carter's cleared record. Rocco removed his gold signet ring and set it beside the page. Years ago, he had ignored a child's warning because adults sounded certain. This time, a 5-year-old girl with a yellow hair tie had made the most feared man in the house stop, look closer, and listen. The Bellavita mansion still had gates, cameras, and security guards, but that morning proved something stronger than fear protected a home. Truth did, when someone powerful was finally humble enough to hear it.